Thank you for tuning in to Cigar Time, your friendly show all about premium cigars on this station. Get it out sooner or later.
Yeah.
At this time on this channel, I think. I said that.
Every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday, yeah. And it is Wednesday, March 13th.
It is.
It is March 13th. It's almost spring.
Almost?
Yeah, I can't wait.
Spring is going to be springing soon.
I hope so.
The weather is breaking.
It was terrible.
Well, we're very honored again to have our old friend Tim Person, the
Honored to be
National
here.
Accounts Manager for Altadis Cigars, the iconic manufacturers of brands such as Romeo y Julieta, Aging Room by Rafael Nodal, Monte Cristo, Henry Clay. What else you make?
H. Oopman. H. Oopman.
H. Oopman, yeah.
Don
St.
Diego.
Louis Ray,
Don
Trinidad,
Diego,
Onyx.
Trinidad,
Onyx.
Onyx.
We have a great number of brands.
A lot of
Playboy.
brands. A lot of brands.
Oh, wait. You don't make that anymore, do you?
No, we don't have Playboy.
Yeah, Don Diego.
Playboy was good
Yeah,
though.
Don
when it was
Diego,
out.
though.
We do still have Don Diego,
Whoa,
yes.
I have an original box of Playboy Churchills with the Leroy Neiman, signed by him, sitting in my locker.
Really?
Full box.
Probably could get a lot for that on eBay.
I'm sure. And those things have got to be, what is it, 19?
95.
Holy mackerel.
95,
25 years
96, yeah.
old.
Really?
Wow. Cigars probably taste pretty good by now.
Yeah, I think the last one was.
I like
They
those.
don't.
I like
Your
those.
box is probably numbered, so
Yeah,
I'm pretty
sure
sure it is. I think they didn't do a whole lot of those.
Yeah, I know. Well, first bid of 150,000 gets it.
Yeah.
Well, it's only 25 cigars, 150,000. It's about 6,000 cigars. It's not bad. Okay, today we're going to talk about the Aging Room Quattro, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Quattro Nicaragua.
Why don't you, since it's your cigar, why don't
This is
you
my cigar.
you know anything about it?
I know a lot about
Okay,
it.
good.
Cigar is recently just received a great rating. Received a 94 rating in Cigar
94?
Insider. Yes.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Comes in 4 sizes: a Robusto, Toro, Churchill, and a Torpedo. They all have unique names, as you'll probably see once you go to purchase them.
Raphael likes his music.
Raphael does love his music. Price point is roughly from about $10.50 to about $11.25, and that's in a without any taxes that may have states that have taxes. It's a totally 100% Nicaraguan, prepared by AJ Fernandez. As you guys know, everybody should know who AJ is. If you
Oh,
don't.
they all know AJ.
But this is a project that AJ and Raphael worked on together out of one of his factories in Esteli. It's very, very distinctive, as you guys are lighting up now, as you will see. So we're going to be running some great specials on it. During the month of March, if you buy 5 of the Aging Room Nicaraguan, you'll receive a free cigar and also the lighter that goes with it. And we'll also throw in a couple other swag items. Scott, you want to talk about that a little bit?
What about what?
He wasn't listening.
You weren't
I was,
listening?
I was just saying my cigar tastes like ink.
I was
Tastes
saying,
like-
I was
tastes like
telling
ink.
things like, okay. Before we
That's
get
an inside joke.
That's an inside joke. Before we came on air, Scott was messing with my pen and it stabbed him.
Have the cigar.
But no, this is a fantastic cigar. I mean, we reviewed this a few
$5.99
times.
at any cigar.
You know, within our group at work, and every time the cigar just keeps getting better and better. But what do you guys think so far on your first initial puff?
That's good. That lighter, you know, that's a retail value of about $109.95.
No.
And every one you buy, you get $100 back.
Yep.
Thank you.
Well, we're going to give it to you for free.
Sure.
Yeah.
For just buy any 5 Quattro Aging Room and you get it for free.
Yeah, you guys have had Raphael on the show. This is
Yeah.
something when
Yeah.
I was here with him last May, something that he had in the works with AJ Fernandez. We had smoked a few samples of it back then.
Right.
But this is fantastic, and I think the rating across the whole line, does it
It
justice.
gets high ratings.
Yeah, he does, Raphael does receive high ratings on a lot of his brands.
Exactly.
We have a partnership with him where this is made for boutique blend cigars, but we distribute it through
Right.
Altadis USA. We're partners with Raphael, and Raphael also does a lot of stuff with us with Tabacalera USA and AUSA.
He's good people.
He is.
Good
I
people.
love the packaging on this.
Yeah.
The way
Orange.
that the orange and the black, and just everything is. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
so
a
you like the Flyers.
gorgeous cigar.
Flyers colors.
Yeah, it is a Flyers color.
This is Flyer territory here.
Yes, it is. Brother,
It's hockey, right?
yeah, I can.
Yes.
Ralph's one of the original
Show,
Broad Street
I gotta
Bullies.
see every show.
Yeah.
But no, I think as you guys, as we get into it, I mean, everyone that I've smoked this with, and most of the people who have brought it in, and as your consumers will try, it has a lot of depth behind it. It's not just your traditional, cigar strength power, but there's a lot of complexity.
Very distinctive flavor.
Mm-hmm.
Very distinctive.
Absolutely.
I'm going to be down in a few days. I'm going to be down that way. Matter of fact, as part of the TAA convention in a few days, there's a factory tour in La Romana, which is, I understand, the largest cigar factory in the world.
I don't know if it's the largest in the world. I know in the Dominican is one of the, if not the largest, one of the largest. It's still one of the largest in the world from what I read in the last issue of, I believe it was Cigar Aficionado or Half World, somebody that had covered the Pro Cigar event. I've been there, a few times. It's huge. I haven't been to a lot of the new ones that are equal to or maybe a little bit bigger. But when you encompass everything, the grounds and everything, it definitely is very big. Because you still have the box factory, which is actually a little bit separate from TDG itself. It's in the same compound, but you got to walk over to it. So it's a very large facility, very large facility. But you should go ski shooting if you can.
I used to do a lot of that, and last year I almost took the tour, but I was so pooped out by the time the day came around for the tour. Another cigar buddy of mine and I sort of sat by the pool all day. I was they worked me over pretty good.
Nothing wrong with that.
Well, it's a great place to go. I mean, because
Casa de Campo.
They've improved. Even just to go for the cigar tour, but to go, take your family for a visit. I mean, you can fly into Punta Cana to cut the time down, and travel over. You don't have
about
to.
45 minutes.
Yes, correct. So, what are you guys thinking so far?
It's interesting. For the first draw, I got a chocolatey taste.
Yeah.
In the beginning, and now that's subsided. I'm getting a nice sweet taste.
I'm getting sweet yet. I'm getting a lot of pepper. The whole thing's coating my whole tongue, and I definitely feel this one in the back of my throat also.
Yeah.
It seems like it's got some strong heroin in it.
It's like deja vu.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
You don't get that at all?
Really?
Get the pepper again.
Really?
I'm gonna wait till it gets in a little bit. I probably will, but
Your palate is not sensitive to pepper.
apparently not.
No.
Do you
I
get
get
the
the pepper.
I get a little pepper, not a
No,
lot.
I'm getting.
Oh, see,
I'm definitely
my whole
getting some
palate is, my whole tongue is tingling.
Well, I think if you look at some of the things that from the last time when Raphael was here that we were working on, we came out with the Pura Cepa last summer, which has done fairly well. That received a very high rating also. We did some repackaging on some of his Quattro lines and his core lines. Then we did this, so this is new to that line. They also added a Connecticut to the Quattro line too, which they didn't have before. So he has been working with some great things. He's working with AJ Fernandez did this one. One of his other ones, the Pura Cepa, is made by Plasencia. So we worked on that. He also worked with the new Romeo 1875 Nicaraguan. That just received a rating in February of a 90, and I believe it was in Cigar and Cider. So that's very well. He's done very well with that. That's a Romeo 1875 Nicaraguan. The Monte Cristo Nicaraguan in the fall or December of last year received a 93. So he's had his hands involved in some of the higher rating items that we've just recently received.
He's such a good guy. He deserves.
He is a good guy. He's definitely
everything.
Kind of put his stamp on some things that he's been working with. For his own brands and for our brands also.
Oh. I noticed, just following him on Facebook and obviously meeting him all the time. He's a very hard worker, but he's also a guy that takes his relaxation very well too. Well,
it's funny. Whenever he's a very active social media person. I would suggest following him. He's always engaging. He always takes the time to answer people.
Right.
Get people involved.
He's quite talented.
And he knows and he remembers everything. That's what is impressive about Raphael.
He has a very interesting history in stories.
Yes, in stories. Yes, he does.
As a hospital administrator. And
yes.
I remember everything.
Yeah, he's definitely a well-known guy.
Player. Some on the panel think my memory is not as good as it used to be.
There's no thinking involved.
Yeah, no.
It's funny.
It tastes like a Rafael Nadal cigar.
I think it does. I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. For to be a 100% Nicaraguan, and most of his stuff was Dominican before, or a little, Dominican base. It has this essence.
Yes,
I would say
absolutely.
Now, is this actually made in Nicaragua, or
this is made at AJ's factory?
Oh, AJ,
yes,
of course,
correct.
Yeah, of course. Did say that.
Where the the Monte Cristo Nicaraguan that we make with AUSA, that's also made at AJ. The Pura Cepa and the 1875 are both made at Plasencia. So like the Connecticut, the new Connecticut that we just did, is made with Mr. Huche Blanco, where a lot of
He was
Raphael's
just here
and stuff.
a couple months ago.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys do a show with him, or?
No.
We're planning on.
Oh, you're
it.
planning?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool.
You know, Nicaragua is so hot now. I mean, the
Yeah.
last couple of years, I mean, everything coming out of it.
Hot is not even the word, on fire.
Yeah, on
it was-
fire. Yeah, you're right.
yeah,
Literally.
Yeah, they've definitely, you know, taken the lead over a lot of other places. Not to say other places don't make great stuff. It's just
Oh yeah,
that
sure.
I think, you know, we've had this conversation several times. In life, you have a run. You know, you go
Yeah.
through a time frame where people have runs, and you know, like cigars are the same thing. You know, like you had poker was real popular. You know,
Right,
10 years ago, still popular, but maybe not as popular.
Right.
You know, bourbon is huge over the last
Mexican
certain number of
tobacco.
years.
Yeah, Mexican tobacco. Who would have
Yeah.
thought? Who would have thought that?
Absolutely.
Unbelievable. I mean, 20 years ago, you know, you couldn't give Mexican tobacco away. I mean, you know, Te Amo. Everybody thought Te Amo. And now, you know, they're using Mexican tobacco, and I mean, generally uses a lot of people use a lot of it. Amazing how it's researched.
Well, yeah, they make some very good. I mean, they make some very good wrappers and binders.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
The St. Andrews wrapper. I
And
mean,
Torrent
I love
family,
that.
the Torrent family, which is probably the main family in Mexico, they're good people, and they stuck with it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like, you know, they're like, that's their passion. You know, like
Oh,
like
yeah.
the Placencia is.
For a long time. Yeah.
Fuentes, you know.
Yeah.
You know, they've been in it since the middle to late 1800s. You know, I think they're in their fifth or sixth generation. You know.
I'm getting pepper now.
Ah, you
It's
getting any
a
pepper yet?
lot. Like this cigar's really kicking my butt.
Yeah.
One of my friends said, you know, those guys on there. He said they should do like a cooking show since they taste pepper all the time. I'm not going to say his name, but but no, we're going to do you know, coming up in the spring, we're definitely going to do some really cool stuff with Aging Room, and you know, we'll do some at your major stores. We'll definitely do some
Good,
stuff.
good.
Try to get Ralph to come up and, you know,
Yeah.
do a few things. You know.
Yeah, he's always
always
comes up.
engaging.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Great guy.
Yeah, he's been in a couple of the stores before.
Yeah.
I actually think when he was I think before he was with you, I think, or maybe when he just came on board,
Right.
he had been out.
Well, when we were here last time, we were coming from Northeast, and so that's when we stopped by. We were here all day though.
Yeah.
'Cause he filmed a few shows for you
Yeah,
guys.
yeah, we
Yeah,
did.
he liked that, you know. And it's funny because we went to an event that night, and I drove out to meet another representative of our company. He did an event from like 6 to 9 that night in Harrisburg. You know, we just kept on going. You know.
Yeah,
So he's
got a lot of
nonstop.
energy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he is
nonstop.
nonstop. Well, Scott, you want to regale us with some further knowledge from
Sure.
your vast store house of knowledge?
Absolutely.
What?
That he never forgets.
Yeah.
Nah, I forget everything. So today we're going to primarily talk about aging cigars, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the packaging. And cigars are aged in an aging room.
Yeah. Very good.
How apropos.
Did you like that, huh? So the reason what the aging is for is that marries all the flavors of the tobacco together. This is a time when there's still a lot of ammonia in the cigar, so they age them to help release a lot of that ammonia, which ends up smoothing the cigar out. So the marrying is where all the aromas and the flavors kind of merge together, so to speak. So and it ends up how so the cigar will end up tasting the way the blender had intended. As far as the time, it depends on the manufacturer, depends on the project and the cigar. So that they can range anywhere from 6 months to several years. Some actually may even age them for shorter periods of time depending upon the company. It is important to talk about that this is the aging of the cigar. Before we talked about aging of the tobacco.
Tobacco, right.
Very, very, very different things.
True.
So once the cigars, we talked last week about the making of the cigars. So the final stage of the making, they go through the whole control process where they measure it, they weigh it, they check the
test
length, the draw test is before it's actually made. What they do is they typically put cigars in wheels of 50. So you've all seen the pictures, you know, it's a wheel of 50, they call it a wheel because it looks round, but 50 cigars. Then they put them in a temperature and humidity controlled room, usually made out of Spanish cedar,
Cedra.
and they stick them in the room.
They just sit there.
They, for the most part, they don't mess with them once they're once they're aging, do they? Do they turn them?
Well, some people do it a little different, like the way ours is in because where ours is done like in a crate, and before they go back to the boxing and band them, but they put them up on different levels, like over time.
Oh, okay.
You know, kind of like not like I don't want to say it's like barrelage because it's not, but that's just the way they do it.
They
And
shuffle
then
them around?
they shuffle them, they move them up a little bit.
I guess
yeah.
that's so they're all aged.
Yeah,
they get
like
the
a cer-
same.
they all get the
humidity.
same length of time.
Okay.
And again, it depends on what you're trying to make. Because I know, like when we did, like the Pure Sepa, I think the tobacco that Mr. Placencia has in there, some that's like real old. So they marinated that together for a long period of time. You know?
Okay.
So that, and then they left it alone, you know, before they made the cigars. Not to jump ahead, but yeah, I think everybody has like a little different thing. But on the majority, when you see
Right.
people on Facebook or whatever, they usually have it in a room in a wheel of 50 or say, and usually like let them sit.
Right, and we've doing this series for about 6 or 7 weeks of
Okay.
going through the whole process, and we do say this is kind of like the average of whatever.
Yeah,
Everybody
for
has
sure.
their own little
Their
thing.
own little things, yes.
And one of the things we should note is that even though the cigars are aged by the manufacturer, but as long as it's kept at the right temperature and more importantly humidity, they will age on the retailer shelves and they'll age in your humidor. So the cigar,
Oh, yeah, sure.
it continues to age, and as long as it's kept in the right condition, the cigar will be smokable for just about forever. So the cigar, for the most part, the cigars are left alone. So then after they're finished aging, depending upon how long the manufacturer wants, then it's time for packaging. Several steps involved with packaging. Now we talked many times about cigar or the tobacco being sorted. Now the cigars are sorted by, after the finished aging, they're sorted by color. And it's, as I understand it, primarily done by women because I guess they perceive
Yes.
colors more. Now I can't remember, there's a number of different colors, or number of different colors they choose.
That is, I mean, I
Is it
talked
5, 20?
it's like a spectrum that they look at, and then
Yeah.
they try
Spectrum,
to
that's the word I'm looking for.
yeah, there's a spectrum that they look at to get the shades of the same color into that particular box.
Right.
Right.
And how many is it? Is it like
I don't know how
5?
many it is. There's a few. I mean,
Alright.
there's can be quite a range, but usually like you stay in that range. Like I'll just give you an example. Like we use I'll use H. Upman Banker and Romeo. Their wrapper are both Ecuadorian Habanos. All right. So not saying they're the same wrapper, but when you shade
Right.
them, they look similar alike. But there's different. There's like a different spectrum that they each go in. You know, the
Right.
darker is going to be more to the Romeo. A little bit lighter is going to be maybe
Yeah.
in the banker
Banker,
side.
yeah.
You know,
Okay.
just because I mean they're very similar wrappers from the same farm. You know.
Right.
But like we use I'll use Romeo Vintage for an example. Romeo Vintage is a Ecuadorian Connecticut, and it's not a big spectrum, but when you look them in the box, you say, oh, they're nice looking, they're beautiful, look silky and
Yeah,
shiny.
they look the same to
But-
us, but
There can be a little difference in them, you know.
right. And the reason we were talking a lot about the sorting, the reason they do that is so if you buy a box or you open up a box, all the cigars are going to be they're going to look the same and they're going
look
to be the same
uniform.
color.
Yes.
Exactly. Now a lot of times customers come into the store and be like, "No, that's 2 different wrappers," because we'll take it all. We'll sell through a box or sell through most of it, and then
Yeah.
we'll
Replenish
refill
it,
it.
yeah.
Well, when you refill it, you could get a box that has a different color in the spectrum. It's the same cigar, it's the same wrapper, it's just going to look a little different. So after they've been sorted, now it's time for them to be banded. And the band is pretty much, I forget what the thing's called, but there's a little thing that measures the band. The band goes on the exact same spot on all of the cigars,
Correct.
and it's applied with a little bit of vegetable glue. And it adheres the 2 ends of the band together. Then in some cases after the band is applied, then they put it in the cellophane, which I've seen them do that, and in my
amazing.
opinion, it's got to be the most
It's the most
boring,
boring
job in
It's
all
amazing
of
how
cigars.
You can do it, how they do it, though.
It's all done by hand.
All day
Yeah.
long, they just sit there
It's
and
all
they
done by
put the
hand.
cigars in the cellophane. I don't know how they do that, but what the cellophane does, it does help keep some of the humidity, but more importantly, it protects the cigar while it's in the box. mostly, I guess it's mostly for us because when people, people want to take a
Handle,
cigar
yeah,
out, they want to
yeah.
look at it,
Yeah, well, you got
and
to.
it protects. It mostly protects the foot of the cigar from fraying. So that's one of the reasons they use the cellophane. And then of course some manufacturers don't use any cellophane at all.
Yeah.
They like the presentation.
Cuban cigars don't use cellophane.
Yeah.
Correct. That's correct. So after it's put in it's labeled, it's put in the cellophane, then they package them in the boxes. There's different types of boxes. There's all kinds of different quantities, anywhere from 8 to 50 cigars in a box. Probably some are actually 177 I can think of.
In the old days, it was 25.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
25.
it's anywhere from 8 to 8 to 100 in a box.
Yeah.
And it's all dictated by the manufacturer and whatever.
Well,
whatever
they seem to be
image.
going more and more to 20s. 20 and 25 seem to be the two most used sizes.
And 24.
Yeah,
20,
I-
24,
yeah.
and 25.
But I would say 20, then 25, where 25 used to be everything.
25 was the standard.
I don't know why anybody why have an odd number? Like 24 makes sense because you're taking up the whole
Yeah.
box, but like in some cases there'll be 25 in a box that could hold 27 cigars.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of
Well,
times
those guys, you guys do
used
that.
to do
Yeah,
People
we used,
27
we used to do
bucks.
27,
Yeah.
but our refill box was a 30.
Yeah.
So when we used to do 27, I think a refill box was a 27 and 30 on certain lines.
Right.
Romeo's always been a strictly standard
25.
25.
Yeah.
Romeo Reserve was a 27 out of Honduras.
Right.
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 Monty White, Monty Platinum were 27s at one time. I think they still are, I believe, on doing the larger sizes. At one time, it was a look at one taking away the wood, taking the wood out and putting extra cigar in. But it used to be kind of like a caveat that we would do for the consumer, for the retailer, to have some play with things. Like
Two extra cigars.
Yeah, two extra cigars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I've also noticed?
That's
I'm
because
sure-
the blocks are expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're more expensive than the cigar.
Well, not quite.
They don't want to. Yeah, they are. To put the block in, it costs money.
Well,
The draw nose is really tight though.
the one thing I've noticed over the years, I'm sure you've all noticed, and nobody ever talks about it. Years and years ago, there was one thin little band on a cigar.
Yeah.
Now, some of these
Everything's got two bands. It seems like.
not only two bands, but some of the Robustos, the bands are so long. A not too many $5, but take an $8 cigar, you smoke $2 of it, and then you're burning the band
Right.
unless you take it off.
Well, if you go back, this is just my humble opinion. If you go back to the late 1800s, early 1900s, when they made a lot of private labels for people around the world, many aristocrats, each box had its own design.
Yeah.
So, I think that in the last 10 or 15 years, you've ushered into an era of renaissance of artwork.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have your regular stuff, but there's people put a lot into it.
Yeah.
To
But
make
I
it look-
wonder how many consumers really look and appreciate the artwork, the decoration on the wooden boxes, and the bands.
They may not appreciate it or look at it,
It
but
makes
they
it stand
sure
out.
they sure as heck buy.
They
based
buy-
on
they
that.
buy them, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I found myself I was in a package store. I wanted to buy a couple bottles of beer. And I'm looking, and I'm like, all I'm looking at is how nice the label is. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Like,
Sure.
I'm that guy that comes in the cigar shop that's just looking at the band and,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
making a decision. It's like, that has nothing to do with the
It's
quality of the
amazing,
cigar.
isn't it? It's amazing.
When you look at things, I'm just say somebody shopping for you. You go and look at things and they look pretty. They look nice. They're
Sure.
attractive. Like looking at this cigar. It's very distinctive.
Oh, yeah.
You're
Yes.
going to look at it. It stands
Beautiful.
out.
Yeah, it's
People
beautiful.
buy, marketing sells the first cigar,
I'll
the
give,
blender seller has.
and I know they had their 20th anniversary for one day with the Blue Opus.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
Beautiful.
that was beautiful.
Well, that box is
You know,
amazing.
Like when we did the Espada, it had the
Yep.
black and gold, with the leather finish.
Yeah.
It's a little different.
A lot goes into the packaging, yeah. So anyway, after they put the cellophane, they're in the boxes. This is something that may shock a lot of people, but before the cigars are shipped out of the factory, they actually freeze them.
Yes.
They, I don't know what temperature. It's like 20 degrees or something.
It's cold.
I think it's
So they
lower than
freeze
that.
them, and I think they freeze them for about 3 days. And what that does is there's a lot of larvae that's still active in the tobacco,
Yes.
And by freezing it actually kills a lot of the larvae. So when they get to the retailers and they get to your humidor, you won't get, I mean, you've all seen the dreaded tobacco beetle.
They're not holy.
But yeah, it can cause a real issue. So most of the manufacturers will freeze the cigars before they leave the factory.
Yes.
And that kills the larva.
Yeah, I mean, it's a process that I believe that. I don't know if everybody does it now, but I'm pretty sure probably mostly everybody does it.
And a lot of manufacturers non-chemical fumigate.
Yes.
So it's some cases belt and suspended.
Yeah.
I think it's time to put final review. Scott, you want to lead it off?
The strength I think is really subsided.
Yeah.
The pepper has subsided. I'm getting more of the chocolate notes that
Yeah.
you started off with,
Okay,
Rob.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's sweet. I'll give this, at this point I'm giving it, earlier I wouldn't have given it this high. I'm going to give it a 9 point. I'm going to give it a 9. Earlier I wouldn't have because it was actually really kicking my butt.
It was. It's a stronger cigar. It's tough to retrohale this cigar.
Yeah.
Oh, today is actually National
yeah,
Retro
was-
Day.
Isn't it?
Yes, it actually is. So we should all retro hail.
I already did.
It's a tough cigar
I
to
did too.
retrohale.
I can't do it.
Rob?
Really. I agree with Scott, but I give it this is my favorite aging room. This is
Quattro,
really
yeah.
nice. I like the cigar. I give it a 9.5.
Better than the La Boheme?
Yes.
So,
La Boheme is good.
Mary Ann?
I think it's a beautifully rolled cigar. As you
It
can
is.
see, the ash is beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Finally getting the pepper that these guys were talking about.
Uh,
But it's smoothing out. It's a complex cigar. And so I'm enjoying it very much. I'd probably give it a 9.
Yeah, guess it's to me, huh?
yes, it is.
Well, I like everything about this cigar, and I love that sweet cocoa taste. I mean, it is really good. I mean, I'm really enjoying smoking it. It has a little oomph to it. It's certainly not for the weak of flesh, and,
definitely
but it's
not.
also
also
not going to
smoking on
knock
an
you on
empty
your butt
stomach.
either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're smoking this on an empty stomach too.
Yeah, we are. Yeah,
So.
literally.
Doesn't
And,
help.
and I give it. I'll middle it out. I'll give it a 9.25. And the only thing that keeps me from giving it a little higher, I would give this higher if it were, a little bit less expensive.
like a scotch?
Let's go cheaper, less expensive. One question I want to ask you real quick before we have to fade out here. Certain manufacturers in their aging rooms, so to speak, only age certain blends in each room. They don't meld. They don't throw Connecticut's in with Habanos in with Maduros and everything else.
Right.
So I just want to let people know that's something.
Well, if nothing else, they'll at least keep those cigars away from each
Segregated,
other.
yeah.
What was the
yeah.
question?
What?
You said you had to
There was
ask
no
me something.
question. I just want to make sure
That was
everybody
a good,
knew
good question.
that not everybody. I thought it was an outstanding
I was waiting
question
for it.
myself personally. I thought it was my
You
Very
guys-
good. Good. I hope you like my answer.
Just want to remind everybody, it's still a little chilly out there, so please patronize your local brick and mortar store that brings you the lounges this time of year for you to relax and enjoy your smoke while it's still a little cold out there, although we're only a week away from spring. So until next week, don't forget our Saturday show.
You're right.
We'll see you next
Life's
week.
too
Ciao for now,
short to
everybody.
smoke
Thanks,
cheap
guys. Thank you.
cigars.